Hey guys, Emmanuel here, and before I jump into this video, I just want to ask you guys to give me the HBO special, and that is the Help a Brother Out. And you can do that by hitting the subscribe button and leaving a like under this video. I'm going to give you guys 2 seconds to do that. Alright, guys, Kevin Durant is back on the trading block. Well, kind of. You guys remember in the summer when Kevin Durant requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets right after the playoffs ended, playoffs in which him and Kyrie Irving got swept by the Boston Celtics, and effectively throughout that saga he held the Brooklyn Nets hostage, but the Brooklyn Nets were able to actually hang on to him because their asking price from other teams was just too much. They were asking for an all-star caliber player and 2 first-round picks, and teams around the league deemed that way too much for a star that was 35 years old and that just got swept in the playoffs with an elite point guard like Kyrie Irving. Well, word around the block is that the Kevin Durant sweepstakes is back on. Reports are coming out that there are multiple teams that are re-engaging with the Brooklyn Nets about a potential Kevin Durant trade. We came back full circle. And I think there's 2 reasons for this. The first reason is, of course, the Kyrie Irving saga that's ongoing right now, in which Kyrie Irving is suspended, and in order for him to return, the Brooklyn Nets have drafted this list, this like 6 prerequisites that he has to meet in order to come back, and it's kind of been controversial in a lot of people's eyes. Jay Williams came out and he called out the Brooklyn Nets for this. LeBron James recently came out and he said that Kyrie should be able to play. In particular, it's a list of 6 things that Kyrie Irving is supposed to do before he returns. And it's kind of weird. It's like donating $500,000 to Jewish community, and there's a bunch of other things. Really weird, even though Kyrie Irving did apologize. If you're not privy to all of this, I have a video on the Kyrie Irving situation that's going on. It's called Kyrie Irving is going to get kicked out of the league at this rate. I highly recommend that you guys go and check out that video. It is very informative, especially if you are not privy to what's going on in the NBA right now. If you've somehow been living underneath a rock for the last 2 weeks. Is with the way things are going with Kyrie Irving, having to meet with the commissioner of the NBA, having to meet these prerequisites, many have speculated that as stubborn as Kyrie Irving is, he may not meet these prerequisites. Because you have to remember, Kyrie Irving is very hard-headed. He may choose not to meet these prerequisites, and in doing so, the Brooklyn Nets may just be forced to release him. If that happens, many have speculated that Kevin Durant will be on a team by himself, essentially surrounded by scrubs. That is the Brooklyn Nets season and future dead in the water. And if that happens, they may be forced to move Kevin Durant in order to maybe get picks back, in order to rebuild, or kind of honor him. Because Kevin Durant is 34 years old, and Kevin Durant in the next 3 years will probably be out of the league unless he ages like LeBron. In 3 years, he's going to be 37, going on 30. This year and I think next year is going to be the last 2 really high quality Kevin Durant years left. Brooklyn Nets, knowing that, they may just trade him away to kind of give him that merciful send-off, so he just doesn't stay in Brooklyn wasting away. The second reasons team are re-engaging with the Brooklyn Nets and asking for Kevin Durant is because many around the league have seen the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving experiment for the last 3 years, and they've concluded that it is a failure. In the 4 years or 3 years that those 2 guys have been together, nothing's come out of it. And GMs and executives around the league are thinking, well, there is no better time than to poach Kevin Durant away from the Brooklyn Nets than right now. Number one, because Kevin Durant doesn't have a lot of good years left in the league, and things are blowing up in the Brooklyn Nets' face, and they may need to move some of their stars, some of their assets, and right now would be the prime time to buy or trade for Kevin Durant. So here's my take. Me, being a Toronto Raptors fan, I want to see them compete for a title. So my prescription, my take is this. The Toronto Raptors should go out and trade for Kevin Durant. Yes, I'm one of those talking heads that was adamant about Toronto Raptors trading for Kevin Durant in the summer, even though every single talking head and every single Toronto Raptors talking head said, no, don't trade for Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant is 34 years old and it just won't work. The reason I think we should opt to trade for Kevin Durant is because roster that the Toronto Raptors have right now is really, really good. This roster right now is good enough to end up as a 3rd seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, if they can get to 3rd seed by themselves, imagine what happens if they get someone like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant, even though he's 34 years old, is still averaging 30 plus points. The Raptors are one star away from contention. They are a Kawhi Leonard, a Kevin Durant, one star away from contending for a title, from being one of the favorites in the Eastern Conference. I think I'd favor them more than the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers, and they would be up there with the Milwaukee Bucks. So that's my reasoning. That's why I want them to go for Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant can help them win now. Now, either this year or next year, Kevin Durant would be able to help them get over that hump. And I, for one, would love to see the Toronto Raptors win another championship. I got this from their 2019 championship run, and it was one of the best times of my life. I'd love to see that again. I would love to see it as soon as possible. And I think there is a door, a path to that happening either this year or next year. There's a chance, and that's why I want them to go for Kevin Durant. Now, in the summer, I talked about how the Raptors should trade Pascal Siakam in a few picks for Kevin Durant, but after seeing how good Pascal Siakam has played for us this year and how integral he is to our success, I'd much rather keep him and have him play with Kevin Durant. So I've shifted my perspective, and I've changed my offer. My prescription is this: the Toronto Raptors trade OG Anunoby, a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and even maybe, this is a maybe, don't come for me, this is a maybe even Gary Trent Jr. as well for Kevin Durant. And judging from how dried up the market was for Kevin Durant in the summer, I think that is a very, very good deal for the Brooklyn Nets, because not a lot of teams were willing to give up really anything for a 34-year-old Kevin Durant. This deal would be really good, and I don't really see a lot of teams competing with that offer except for the Lakers and the Knicks. The New York Knicks, just because they're the Knicks and they would give up a lot for Kevin Durant. The Los Angeles Lakers, because I think they're aware of the fact that Kevin Durant would be exactly what they need to get them back into contention for the title. And Rob Pelinka and the Los Angeles Lakers have been very stingy with the 2 first-round picks that they have. That is their saving grace. They're clinging on to those 2 first-round picks as if it is a life raft. I saw a report that the Lakers are waiting for a specific player in order to trade for, in order to give up those first-round picks for, because they could pull the trigger right now for Miles Turner and Buddy Hield, but they've chosen not to. Aside from that, I can't really see any other team really giving a good offer like the Toronto Raptors. Unless they mortgage away everything they have, I don't think teams are willing to do that for someone who's 34 years old. Especially teams that suck and have the draft capital. Those teams aren't willing to give up their draft capital for a 34-year-old Kevin Durant. Now, moving on to OG Anunoby. The reason I think the Toronto Raptors should give up OG Anunoby for Kevin Durant is because in the past, OG Anunoby has stated that he's not satisfied with his role with the Toronto Raptors and he would like to see a lot more on his plate. He's felt that the attention and priority is always given to Pascal Siakam and Scottie Barnes. And although OG Anunoby is a great asset for the Toronto Raptors, he brings a lot of defensive capability, and here and there sometimes he gives a lot of offensive output. There are some holes in his game that I have a problem with. Number one, although he is a great three-point shooter and he can give the Toronto Raptors some offensive output here and there, one aspect of his game that I think hinders the Toronto Raptors is that he takes way too many contested mid-range jumpers. And he isn't good at those shots, but he takes way too many of them. And that puts the Toronto Raptors sometimes at a disadvantage because those shots never go in and they rebound to the other team and the other team gets looks. It's not an efficient shot at all. I don't like that he does that, and watching him take those shots is just atrocious. And another thing is this: OG Anunoby has been with the Toronto Raptors for a while now, and it seems like we've been waiting an eternity for OG Anunoby to take that next step. He hasn't taken that next step. He's just a middle-of-the-pack player. I think this might be as good as he gets with the Toronto Raptors. And I think that OG Anunoby still has high market value, and it would be wise for the Toronto Raptors to move off of him while his trade value is still high, especially for a guy like Kevin Durant. Guys, those are just my thoughts on the Kevin Durant sweepstakes being back on. If you like this kind of content, then this is the channel for you, so make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and until next time, kids.